What's up guys, here's another edition of my Fatte Friday follow-up. So enjoy. Is it worth having lemon water, not for cutting fat, obviously, but is there any benefit out of that drink? Well, yes, absolutely. Lemon juice and water can definitely help you out in terms of health. Vitamin C helps your immune system. Vitamin C in the lemon juice also helps with skin. The citric acid can also help break down kidney stones if that's an issue that you're facing. What else? It's also a diuretic, so it helps you eliminate water. So that helps you detoxify a lot faster because we usually detoxify through elimination. So it's going to make you pee a lot more. Apart from that, also, if you're having water, that's a great way to hydrate. And people who find water boring, because you're supposed to have water for entertainment, right? Of course. For those people, you can have flavored water, so you don't get bored while drinking water. Whey in milk or water post-workout. Sir, please help. Well, you can have it in either whey or water. Definitely doesn't make that big of a difference. It's just that if you're having whey protein in water, it's probably going to digest a lot faster. If you're having whey protein in milk, because of the healthy fats in milk, that can actually slow down the digestive process, and that can also be beneficial for you. So either one works. What skipping ropes do you use? So my skipping rope is actually made up of every single lady that I've dated in the past. All their hair that I've stored over time combined together, wrapped into a thick rope, and I just use that to skip. But if you don't want to do that, you can always just use the other skipping rope that I use, which I showcase to everyone. I got that from Burn Lab, so check it out. Pretty good. It's called a speed rope. Any difference between morning and evening walk? Which one do you suggest? I usually suggest a morning walk because you can get that cardio out of your way. It's a great way to start your day, blood circulation, etc. Apart from that, also if you're walking in the morning, chances are you're going to get a lot of vitamin D from sunlight. Usually people that walk in the evening walk at a very late evening sort of time. So if you're walking when the sun is set, then potentially you're missing out the benefit of walking in the sun and getting that extra sunlight. So do that. Should a skinny fat person go for a cut or bulk? So usually if you're skinny fat, chances are you're probably a beginner because you haven't packed on a lot of muscle, but you do have a little extra body fat. So you can actually do a body recomposition where you gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. So what you can do is you can actually go in a slight calorie deficit while focusing on a good strength training program and having adequate protein, which will help you gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. I am maintaining a calorie deficit, eating healthy, but then I feel hungry. What to do? Well, if you're in a calorie deficit but you're still feeling hungry, chances are, well, one, you might be dehydrated. Two, you are supposed to be a little hungry if you're in a calorie deficit, but if your deficit is too large, chances are you can feel very hungry, so reduce the size of your deficit. And also try to choose foods which are not very calorie dense. So for example, if for a snack you're eating something like a handful of almonds, which would be maybe 15 grams, all right, versus you're having an entire bowl of strawberries. So obviously if you can eat more food, you're going to feel fuller. Strawberries, maybe you can have 300 grams versus you can have just 15 grams of almonds. That pretty much is the same amount of calories. So would you go for the 300 grams of strawberries or 15 grams of almonds? Obviously the 300 grams of strawberries will definitely help you feel fuller, easier. It's going to be easier for you to feel fuller. Sometimes my talks are just not words coming out of my mouth. Hard. I'm not hard. What I'm saying is hard. Sometimes for me. But I'm also hard. Usually when I see unicorns. Weird. But let's not talk about that. That wasn't my zip. Hilarious. So yeah, try to pick foods which are not very calorie dense, which you can eat a lot of without being very high calories, such as strawberries or watermelons. Or other than that, try to see if you have a very large calorie deficit, reduce the calorie deficit. Do you do women's coaching as well? I do coaching for anybody with a human body. In fact, I also coached my own dog to becoming fit. Yes, it's not a joke. I literally made my dog lose a lot of body fat and he became shredded. How did I do that? Let's not get into the specifics because some of you might try that, and it was for a dog, not for a human. So I won't tell you because I know you'll do it and then come to me like, Viren, it's your fault. Your fault that I followed a doggy program. Ridiculous. I've been stuck on the same weight on squat since a long time. What should I do? Strength plateau. Well, there are lots of ways to measure whether or not you're getting stronger. So even if you're not doing extra weight, so let's say your 1 rep max is not increasing, that doesn't necessarily have to be the only way you can determine whether or not you're getting stronger. So let's say you take your 5 rep max, and with that you're doing now 6 reps. That's actually an increase in your total amount of strength, right? Other than that, try experimenting with different rep ranges. So if you're stuck at your 1 rep max, try to build up your 5 rep max. If you're stuck at your 5 rep max, try to build up your 3 rep max. Depends completely on what your goal is. So if strength training is what you're going for, that's how I would do it. If you're focusing more on hypertrophy, then that's a different ball game altogether. Also, make sure you're getting adequate nutrition and adequate sleep and rest. If you're going on a program that's too high frequency, try to back off on the frequency and see if that benefits you. So try to get more rest or experiment with your rep ranges if you want to break a strength plateau. During pandemic, I put on weight from 55 to 59. Though I do brisk walk for an hour, it's still not reducing. Yeah, because if you go and do a brisk walk for an hour and then have 5 parathe with ghee, that's not gonna make you lose weight. So stop having the parathas and go in a calorie deficit. Doesn't matter if you're doing extra cardio, if you're eating extra, you're still not in a calorie deficit. So get a calorie deficit through proper nutrition instead of just focusing on how can I do extra running and then eat pizzas. Not the best strategy. I think you should eat milk cake and call it a day. I don't like milk cake. I love kheer though. So yeah, I could probably have kheer and call it a day. Except it's not part of my program right now because I'm on a diet. So maybe in another 2 months. Losing weight, I'm having decent amount of protein every day. Am I losing muscle? Love handle loose? How do I know? Look at yourself in the mirror. If you feel like your shoulders are reducing, your shirts are getting looser from everywhere except your midline, that means you're losing muscle. But if your shirts aren't really getting loose from everywhere except just your midline is reducing, your waist is reducing, waist around the belly button, then you're losing body fat and not muscle. Also take pictures just to see whether or not you're actually losing muscle. So if you're starting to look leaner, much leaner, thinner, instead of just looking more shredded, then probably you're not using the right approach. Can you increase your muscle mass without increasing your body fat percentage in your body? Yes, you can definitely do that, especially if you're a beginner. 100% you can do that as a beginner. If you're intermediate, it becomes a little more challenging. You're going to grow muscle at an excruciatingly slow pace, so it might not be the best strategy. And as an advanced athlete, highly unlikely that you'll be able to do that unless you're supplementing with something like an exogenous anabolic steroid. So if you're doing that, you can probably gain muscle, but as an advanced athlete, you're probably not going to gain muscle and lose fat at the same time, unless you're taking steroids. And most of us aren't advanced athletes, so you should probably think of yourself either in the beginner category or intermediate. And also, if you've been on a bullshit training program all your life, you've never practiced progressive overload, you've just been doing nonsense in the gym, and suddenly you actually hopped onto a good new training program that actually is properly structured, there is a possibility that you can grow muscle and lose fat because you just never really trained hard before in life. So that's also a possibility. But again, you would most likely be a beginner or in the early stages of being an intermediate if that's the case. Is 3% visceral fat okay? So visceral fat is actually very, very dangerous for your health, very bad for your organ health. So you want that number to be as low as possible. Now, I'm not sure how you measure 3% visceral fat, but usually if your waistline is very, very thin, it's very less, that's actually a good indicator that your visceral fat is very low. So your goal ideally should be to get your waistline as thin as possible while trying to pack on more muscle so that you're actually becoming healthy and you're just not obsessing over, oh, I just want to be as thin as possible. That's not the goal. The goal is to gain as much muscle as possible without gaining too much around your midline or your waistline, right above your belly button. Does face yoga, facial exercises help at all with face fat? Firstly, spot reduction is not possible. So you can't do an exercise to lose fat from a specific area. So if I do bicep curls all day, doesn't mean my bicep is going to get shredded and the rest of my body has body fat. That's not how it works, all right? We do exercise to gain muscle, all right? Also, yes, exercise will make you burn calories, but it doesn't make you burn calories from one area. So if you move your mouth all day, it's not like you're going to burn fat from one area. That's not how it works. So stop trying to do all of that nonsense and trying to lose face fat because it's just not going to happen. You can't lose fat from just one area. If that was the case, people would have shredded faces and just overall have high body fat, which does not happen. It doesn't happen. You don't see that. You don't see people with a six-pack and everywhere else they've got body fat. No, it doesn't happen. If they've got a shredded six-pack, they'll most probably have a shredded face as well, shredded arms, etc. because body fat reduction happens overall, not from just one single spot. Is keto for a long duration bad for health? Well, there's just not enough data to showcase whether or not a ketogenic diet is bad for you in the long run. But how I personally do it, now it's different for everyone. Some people it might be actually beneficial. For some people it might be horrible. You need to figure out and experiment and figure out what works best for you. But most likely with most people, I would recommend try a ketogenic diet, see if it works for you. If it does work for you, maybe stay on a ketogenic diet, cycle off and then cycle on and then cycle off. That would be a safer strategy to implement rather than going all out in one direction that I'm only going to do keto for the rest of my life. If you want to try it, go ahead, try it, see if it works for you, but don't think that that's the final solution. At the end of the day, you want to be healthy and there are lots of ways to get there. Work stress causes erratic mood swings. Some days positive, many days with anxiety. How to remain centered? Well, stress is perceived as stress. It's a problem that your body has to deal with. Now, if your body wants to deal with the problem, it needs to have enough resources to be able to tackle the problem. It needs to be rested well enough, right? You need to have the proper nutrition. But if you do not have all of these things figured out, those days you're not going to be able to deal with the stress. As a result, you're going to get anxiety. Speaking from personal experience. So what you want to try to do is you want to try to focus on your nutrition, your health, exercise, moderate exercise, not too much, not too little, figuring out what the right amount is for you specifically. And apart from that, proper rest and good quality sleep are essential to be able to handle stress. So if you don't have these markers figured out, if you don't have these factors, you're not giving a shit about these things, chances are that you are going to experience some side effects from your stress. So if you want to be able to deal with the stress, you need to give your body the resources to be able to deal with the stress. It's like I want to build a house, but I'm too lazy to go get cement. I don't like cement, just use some cheap stuff. You're going to have a cheap shit house. It's going to break down. So if you want to build a good house, you got to have proper resources. If you want to be able to deal with your stress, you need to put proper resources into your body and get adequate rest. Simple. Bro, can you suggest a workout split for beginners, please? Yes, absolutely. For beginners, you can either split it into full body, so you can do it 2 to 3 times full body sessions, or you could split it into upper and lower body, or you could split it into push, pull, and legs. All 3 work. You need to experiment and find out what works for you. 1, what you enjoy. 2, and number 3, what fits best into your schedule. So let's say if you don't have time and you can only train twice a week, go for full body. If you can train 6 days a week, go for push-pull legs. If you can only train 4 days a week, go for an upper-lower body split, which you can repeat twice. Simple. Would you say your skin is a result of good genes or self-care? My skin 110% is a result of good nutrition, first and foremost. Second comes self-care. I don't actually do that much of self-care. I've seen a lot of people do a lot of shit for their skin. I don't. What I focus on is good nutrition and basic skin hygiene, such as scrubbing, keeping my face clean with a good moisturizer and with a good cleanser, and then moisturizing. So that's mainly what I do. Once in a while, at least maybe twice a week, I'll put something on my skin, something natural like yogurt or honey or, I don't know, oatmeal for a scrub. But other than that, I don't do much. I personally feel that you need to focus on nutrition if you want to get good skin. Figure out what food you can digest well, which doesn't give you any digestive issues, and most likely the same food will be good for your skin health as well. How to have great hair or stop hair fall? Well, there are lots and lots of reasons why you might be experiencing hair fall. So you need to actually go to an expert and figure out what those reasons are. So they would recommend most likely a blood test and figure out what you're deficient in or what is going through the roof, which is causing your hair fall. Let's teach me discipline. Well, you can watch any of my discipline diary videos or any of my motivational videos. All of those are available. You can go through the entire playlist. If you ever feel down and out, you can understand how to recover from that episode and just be more disciplined. So that's exactly what I made these playlists for. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you in the next goddamn Fatte Friday. See you then.